Hi, welcome to Sundai Profiles. I'm here with Nate, Aune. I'm Mike Bensel. Nate, so this is our very first podcast. So let's talk a little bit about what Sundai is, how we met, what we do. So I can remember, I think it was back in November, you and I met just right outside that door. And I didn't really have a great intuition for what Sundai was. Did you?
I had heard a little bit about it through C10 Labs, because the Sundai crew came and introduced the companies at C10 of like what Sundai is all about. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things where you kind of need to experience it to fully grasp how it works. So the way that I like to describe it is sort of like a day-long hack day where you've got this deadline, right? By the end of the day, you've got to get something shipped, and you have an opportunity to pitch an idea if you want to pitch an idea, or you can just join a team. And so there's a certain period where there's people kind of circulating around the room, talking to people, sort of hashing out ideas and figuring out, like, is this an idea that I want to work on? And it usually takes like an hour or two for the teams to form, and then people, kind of go off into corners and set up shop and start working on the idea.
Yeah.
And so it's very fluid, very loose. There's not a lot of formality to it. Mm-hmm. And what I like about it is every Sunday there's an opportunity to like meet new people, work on new projects, and keep things fresh. Or if you want to work on something that you worked on the previous week, that's okay too.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of my favorite parts is actually people coming and pitching their ideas, just because you get a lot of ideas that never would I have thought of in a million years.
Yeah.
Sometimes for very good, justifiable reasons, but sometimes you get very interesting ones that come out of it. So what are some things you've worked on? I worked on Paper Hands, which was, we were looking at meme tokens, meme coins, and trying to predict like what would be the next major token to take off. Luigi coin was very big after the shooting of the CEO. Yeah, and not everything ends up in a great success. So we put together, a lot of what we did was research, to be honest, understanding kind of the meme coin ecosystem, how it works, and kind of learning that this really is largely pump and dumps. Like, you might be able to get ahead of things, but you have to be like very cautious, because we found out there were like 1,000 Luigi coins, and there's no governing body that's like, well, this is the official Luigi coin. It's just somebody buys a bunch of this and creates this price action, and then everybody tries to jump in. And so there's an opportunity for sure to get in on that. But you have to be very careful because it's 100% like just very shady. But we put together a very fun kind of demo. I don't know, have you ever seen pump.fun, the website?
I haven't, no.
We are going to overlay pump.fun right now. It's this crazy, like, picture 1990s web design with all the shaky text and everything. Yes, and so what it is it's a website that allows you to mint meme coins with like no technical knowledge, and it provides a video streaming platform where you can also kind of pitch your meme coin. And so people were doing these increasingly crazy things, and so this was something we all learned a lot about. We didn't create pump.fun, by the way, but so that was one of them. So what's one that you've worked on?
Well, there's been so many. It's hard to know where to start. The first one that I worked on, I don't even remember what it was called. I think it was called Cotton. The very first time I came to Sundai, I teamed up with some more veteran Sundai hackers and figured, like, for the first one, I shouldn't try to do my own thing, but I should just like look and learn and try to understand how things work. And so I teamed up with some really great hackers, and the whole goal was to basically record your screen and look at conversations that you've had either on WhatsApp or instant message, and then help you. I'm trying to remember what the actual end goal was. Sometimes these things kind of morph, like the original idea kind of morphs, and as you learn more about what's possible and you start brainstorming the thing that you started the hack day with, you might actually end up building something very different. And I remember that we spent most of that day just experimenting with something called ScreenPipe, and we didn't actually get very far in building the application because it took so long to get this thing installed. There were a lot of technical hurdles we had to jump through. But the reason I'm bringing this one up is that ScreenPipe has now been incorporated into some other Sundai hacks that I've done. So one thing I like about Sundai is while the goal is to get something shipped and actually build a like pretty rudimentary product by the end of the day, a lot of what I use Sundai for is experimenting and playing with new technology.
Sure,
and
research.
It's sort of like R&D, and you're just playing, experimenting, and maybe the hack is not successful, but the learnings are successful.
Absolutely.
And then in the future hack day, you might use something that you learned like 3 weekends ago.
Yeah. I keep meaning to, because I've heard ScreenPipe referred to so much. I've heard it both as a point of frustration and as this incredible resource. I keep meaning to spend some time on it. Can you give me just kind of an overview of your experience with it?
Yeah, so the basic idea is it's a tool that you install on your computer, and it's recording your screen on a periodic basis. I think it's every 30 seconds. So it's configurable how often you want it to record. It's also recording the audio.
Okay.
So both of those things are, if you're concerned about that data leaving your computer, they've taken a lot of precautions to make sure that all the data stays on your machine. So it's not like it's getting sent up to the cloud or something.
Right.
All the recordings stay on your machine, the audio recordings as well as the screen captures. So you might ask, well, why is this interesting? Like, why is it interesting to take screen grabs and audio? Well, I don't know about you, but oftentimes I get to the end of the day and I can't remember what the heck I did during the day.
Yeah.
So what's cool about ScreenPipe is it can basically replay. It can give you a summary of all the things you did throughout the day. And if you do hook it up to a local LLM, or if you're not so concerned about privacy and you don't have any sensitive information on your machine, you can send it up to like OpenAI to analyze all your screen activity and even the audio transcripts. So there's a lot of different use cases for this, right? Like, one would be like a daily summary, a weekly summary.
Yeah.
But what we've done more recently is we've looked at all of these screen captures and we've tried to find things that you're doing on a regular basis that are repetitive or tedious, and then offer to automate those things for you. So kind of taking these like menial, tedious tasks that the AI has identified that you've been doing on a regular basis, and then say, hey, how would you like to just have the machine take that over for you?
Sure.
So that was a project that we worked on a few weeks ago called Autotask. And that kind of came out of my initial experience, that very first Sunday of playing around with ScreenPipe.
Nice. Yeah, I use a program called Activity Watch. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't heard of it.
It does something similar end goal, different approach. So what it'll do is it scrapes like the different window, so OS window titles, and it also has plugins to things like VS Code to allow for deeper introspection, the browser, and then it populates a database, and so you can kind of create broad categories so you can see throughout your day, hey, I spent 4 uncategorized hours. Like, what was that? Was that productive time? Was that something else? I spent 2 hours programming. Yeah, and it's funny. I don't know about you, but I'm very privacy minded. And so I realize I've just installed spyware, but since it's all local and it's for my benefit, I'm okay with it. Yeah, so I can see this. Yeah, this could be good. Have you used a lava model in terms of kind of looking at the images and getting a gestalt or a sense of, what was going on visually?
Yeah, I think for the demo we just used OpenAI because we were trying to get something working quickly. But there's nothing stopping you from connecting it with Llama 3 or any other. I think any model that works with Ollama, you can connect it to.
Gotcha. Have you worked, so I use Olama a lot, and I really like it. I've been hearing about VLLM recently, and I'm not quite sure. I think it's just a less user-friendly, more performant Olama, essentially. Have you used it at all? Or?
I haven't used that one. One that I have used is Lite LLM.
No, I haven't heard of it.
Lite.
Okay. And what's its reason for being?
There's a Python library, so if you're building an application and you don't want to be tied to any one particular LLM, you can use Lite LLM, and it kind of abstracts that out. So you can just swap out the models for a different one. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we had demo day.
Last night, yeah.
Yes, last night, which I think was very successful. We had 10, 11 demos in total. So just to give our audience a sense of what it was. There's a 2-hour block where we were down at MIT's Building 45, which I should know. What is that, the Compute
Department
Center?
Of Computing, computer science.
Yeah, very nice glass building with a lot of space for students to just kind of hang out. And so we were in one of their classrooms. We had about 2 hours, and it was each of these groups, they got 5 minutes, they got some question time after, and a lot of it actually came out of the Everyday Initiative, which was, again, so we're recording this in the innovation headquarters, and just literally right outside the door for all of the month of January, we were meeting up here, we were trying to bring together ideas and come out with hopefully viable products. And I think we got several. So Gabe came out with a product called Charm, which is it's a nice way to take a body of knowledge, a corpus, and if you're a sales rep and you're on a call or a support engineer or something like that, and the customer asks you a question, it's listening to the dialogue over the audio channel, and it's trying to look and find answers for you, and then it presents it in a way that both highlights where it came from so that there's no concerns about hallucination, and gives you more details so you're not frantically searching. I thought that was really good. You also spoke on SocialCal. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so SocialCal is something that I've been thinking about for at least a year, maybe 2 years, and started working on it. I think I started working on it at a Sundai, and then when I had the opportunity to participate in Everyday, I thought, okay, well, here's an opportunity to really spend some dedicated time fleshing this out and making it a more mature product.
Was that fleshing or flushing? Sometimes ideas can feel like both, right?
Yeah, maybe both.
Yeah.
So the first couple of weeks, I took the opportunity to just try a lot of different scraping libraries. Wasn't actually working on the SocialCal product itself. I was more like experimenting with different ways to extract data from websites. And I think I probably tried a half a dozen different scraping tools to find something that would work. And found a few tools that I really like, and maybe I should mention what SocialCal is. So SocialCal is basically a way to grab events off any number of websites and bring them into an aggregated calendar, and then provide a way for you to subscribe to all those events into your Google Calendar. So,
can I stop you?
Yeah.
All right. So we're both engineers here. Give it to a layman, elevator pitch. You're out with your buddy, or you want to go out to events with your buddy. Give me that level first, and then we'll break it down.
Yeah. I am kind of diving into the technical details. So, have you ever missed an event that you really wanted to go to because you never put it in your calendar, and
absolutely,
and you ended up missing out on it? So that's happened to me a number of times. There's a lot of stuff happening in Boston, and so SocialCal, for me, first and foremost, it's to help me stay on top of events that I might want to go to, and kind of eliminate a lot of the tedium that goes with having to monitor a lot of different websites and be checking them constantly. Right. I basically want to have an automated system that's going out, scouring those websites and bringing the events and giving me a personalized, curated calendar. So the goal is to like help you get out and see more events that you actually want to go to. That's the number one. That's the first problem I was trying to solve. The second problem is like, okay, now I found some events I want to go to. Who can I go to them with?
Sure.
Right? So basically making it easy to coordinate plans with your friends. So I'm introducing the concept of like circles. So you might have like, I like going out to hear live music. So I have like a circle of friends who like to go hear live music. And then I have another circle of friends who are more like techie, who like to go to techie events. And then I have like a circle of friends who have kids like the same age as my son. So the idea is if I see an event, I can then invite a circle of friends and say like, hey, I'm going to this event. Does anyone want to come check it out with me? And then SocialCal handles kind of the facilitation of like figuring out like who's available, and people can opt in and say, yeah, I want to go to that. And it just cuts down on all the back and forth, texting and calling and all that stuff that it takes to get together with your friends.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. We'd talked about this, how I have a monthly reminder. It's just go through Meetup, go through Eventbrite, Luma. I'm forgetting a few more, but just see what's being spun up, because groups are always being formed and they're always being disbanded. And I would say, with the exception of Sundai has been kind of stellar in that regard, just in terms of consistency. Yeah. So we're going on 59 weeks, I want to say. Yeah, and I think, so I met you, and then I went off for a month to California, and so obviously I didn't attend Sundai then, but I came back and I've been pretty consistent, so I'm going on about 3 months. Did you, from that first day, have you been going just steady? Because every time I've been here, pretty much without exception, I've seen you.
I don't come to everyone because I have my son every other weekend, so I haven't been able to come the weekends that I have him. But I did bring him to the last one on Sunday because the theme was gaming, and my son is really into games. And some other parents, we all kind of got together and decided we're going to all come to Sunday and bring our kids and like try to do some gaming hacks with them. And the challenge we had is that we have kids of very different age groups. Yes. So like what the 4-year-old wants to do is not exactly what the 10-year-old wants to do. So it was the first one, and it was a little bit challenging to find like age appropriate things for them to work on. Yeah.
Your son is a very talented artist, by the way. I just want to put that out for the world. So it's now he is world renowned.
He loves
as an
drawing.
artist.
He loves making stuff. I'm trying to get him more into like designing games, because I think he'd have a talent for like coming up with the characters and and the story, the storyboarding and all that kind of stuff. But he's a very like tactile, like using his hands. So
Gotcha.
I think I don't want to like rush him along, like move away from the tactile using your hands to go into the digital world. But he's really into Minecraft. He loves playing Minecraft.
Oh, that's the perfect gateway drug.
Yeah, I mean the nice thing about Minecraft is that it's a little bit like building with Legos, but it's in the digital realm, and like kind of like the sky's the limit. Like you can basically build anything.
I remember seeing a 4-bit computer in Minecraft where it was XOR, add, all the registers and everything, and I've never gotten into it that much. Do you play it a lot with your son, or?
Fairly regularly. Yeah, we probably play 2 or 3 times a week, I would say.
Yeah, it's got a cool tech stack too, in that it's Java based, which is unusual in that space, and kind of an eclectic creator notch, I think, or notch.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, cool. So you talked earlier about scraping is an area that I'm very interested in. And SocialCal has an interesting scraping solution. So it's a dynamic creation of a scraper for a given site. Can you talk about that and the challenges? Because, I'm used to, I'll open up Chrome DevTools, I'll find out like either XPath or, CSS paths to use. And then I'll do some stuff with, I've used Beautiful Soup. Right now I'm using, help me out, what's the tool that Selenium based, yes. Yeah, but I haven't done anything in the LLM realm.
Yeah, so as you alluded to, typically the way we've scraped websites in the past is very explicit, like looking at the HTML and finding out the XPath or the CSS selector to identify what are the elements on the page that you want to extract. And the problem with this is that every website is different, right?
Yep.
So you build a scraping extractor for one website, it's not going to work on the other website.
It may not even work on the same website in another week.
That's
if
true.
they update.
Yeah, websites change their HTML. I wouldn't say like super regularly, but they go through upgrades where they like change the design, and then the CSS selectors can change.
Yep.
So that poses problems when you're relying on a scraper to go extract data consistently. So what I was doing at the beginning of January is trying what are called LLM-based extraction strategies. So the idea here is rather than you explicitly defining what those elements are, you basically tell the LLM to go to the web page and read the page and identify those elements. And so it's similar to like a human going to the web page and being able to immediately identify what's an event, right? Versus with a scraper, you're typically having to like tell it what elements in the HTML represent the event title, the event location, the event date. Whereas with an LLM, you can basically say, like, go to this web page and find the events on the page. So the problem with using an LLM-only approach is that it's slow and it's expensive, right? Every time you scrape the same web page, you're having to like talk to the LLM. Those are API calls. You're using tokens, and it takes longer for it to. Basically, you're having to rely on the LLM to do the parsing.
Right.
So what I discovered in my research was this library called Crawl for AI, like crawl then the number 4 AI.
Yeah.
And they just introduced a new feature called schema generation utility. And what this does is it takes a hybrid approach. So it uses an LLM to identify what the CSS selectors are. And then it uses that schema to then generate a more traditional scraper.
Nice.
So you're kind of combining the best of both, right? You're using the LLM to do the first pass of like finding out what the CSS selectors are.
Yeah.
And then for each subsequent scrape, you can use that more traditional scraping, which is very fast and it's cheap.
Yeah. So is it, first, is crawl for J, or sorry, I'm so used to the Java world where it was like log for J, OC for J, etc. So crawl for AI got me thinking in that space. Is this open source?
It is an open source library.
Nice, love it. And so does it involve a browser, like a Selenium or Chromium instance, or is it more like Beautiful Soup where, you're just getting back raw HTML and then you're working based off of that?
Yeah, I think Playwright is a requirement, but you can run it headless. Sense. So it doesn't actually, you don't actually have to have a browser running. I think you can just use it in a headless mode. Yeah.
And how much success have you had with this? Because, a lot of sites, they're highly dynamic, a lot of JavaScript going on, a lot of late rendering of things, which makes this all challenging.
Yeah, I'd say 80% of the sites that I've scraped, it does a excellent job with.
Nice.
The ones that it has problems with, as you mentioned, are ones that are very JavaScript heavy. So far, I haven't figured out what to do if the events are in an iframe.
Gotcha.
There's probably like iframe buster utilities that can like break out of the iframe.
Yeah.
So there are ways around that, right? You can tell it to wait for a certain element to appear before you start attempting to scrape it. Because the problem is that it starts trying to scrape the website immediately. It doesn't wait for the JavaScript to return all the data to the page.
Yeah, I'm wondering about, just with your experience with MediaPipe, and why not just have an automated script that takes screenshots and then you pass the screenshots in and you extract based off of that. So like either OCR or Lava, something like that.
If it comes to that where we're actually having to OCR screenshots, like that may be the only way to get data off certain websites. But again, that's very costly, right? Because you have to like feed, it's costly and it's slow, right? Because you have to feed in the image and then you have to OCR it. And that just takes a lot more processing power than just like reading in HTML.
I really want to get back into OCR. So for a while, I was looking. Are you familiar with Tesseract?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Tesseract. I used to play with it, and so this is a long time IBM project. I feel like, right? IBM Tesseract.
I'm not sure who originally wrote it.
Yeah. But I can remember I would never get great results. It was always kind of wishy-washy. But I'm sure over the last 4 years, just with the progress that's been made in the image domain and everything, I'm sure I'd be blown away. So I really need to look again.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to do was I wanted to take, so I keep receipts from going to the grocery store. And I always thought, wouldn't it be great to know, like you see these people who they generate infographics for like their year, and then they send it out to everybody, and they're like, I took 2,000 bike rides this year, and my blood pressure on average was this. I thought, wouldn't it be great to know, like I think I'm eating healthy, but rubber hits the road, like what's coming back from the supermarket, let's get all that down and let's see what I'm actually eating. Yeah. But the issue with that, with Tesseract, was all these receipts would be very wrinkled, and so as a result, I'd get low quality data pulled out. And
I've noticed from my receipts is that they fade. I don't know if they're
I don't
know if they're designed to do that. Like after 30 days, you want to return this thing. Well, we can't really see what you purchased, sir.
Yes, it looks like a pirate's map. It's all yellowed at that point.
Like I wonder if the people who make the paper for receipts have like engineered it to fade like that.
Yeah, I tend to just think it's more expensive to have things that don't fade. But maybe it would be funny.
Quality. Yeah, it could just be low quality paper. But I mean, I think the solution to that is you just would scan the receipt like right after they hand you the receipt.
Oh yeah, I know. The solution is for me not to be lazy. Yeah, I know. I'm just presenting all these things as technical hurdles when it's just, come on, man, scan it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some apps for Android or iPhone that can do OCR on your receipts, right? So you probably wouldn't have to build this if you wanted to just like get some off-the-shelf tool, a receipt scanner.
Yeah, I want to do it, even though I'm sure you're 100% right. Yeah. Well, this has been good. I'm really thinking about going forward, like the structure of this, and I wanted to have like a closing idea or closing question. And I'm not sure if this is the one I love, but this is the one I'm going with for right now. So what are you excited about over the next year in terms of where things are going, what you expect will be available, or even, hey, given the tools I have, here's what I think I'll be able to do over the next year?
Yes, I mean, right now, like all the rage is agents. Like everyone is talking about agents. And I think we're still like in the early days of what agents are, what they're possible or what they're capable of. How much do we want to hand over our personal and professional life to agents?
Yep.
But it's exciting to think of being able to outsource and delegate things that maybe are not so fun to do, like more tedious things, like maybe managing your email and buying your groceries and things that are necessary but are not really fun.
Right.
For most people. Like most people want to get out of their email as soon as they can. So I think agents are going to really be transformative for businesses. It may take longer for people to adopt them in their personal life because it does require like handing over a lot of your sensitive private information, right?
Absolutely.
It's kind of like, you get more utility when you open up more of your data, but you have to be comfortable with giving up that data. And I think a lot of people are maybe going to be resistant to do that. And businesses may have a mandate to protect that data for their customers, right? So there may be a slower adoption until they can kind of work out the regulation and all the privacy issues. But I suspect over the next year or two, we're just going to see a surge of agentic solutions coming on the market.
Where do you fall on that line of comfort in terms of, oh yeah, AI, get all up in my business versus, no, I'm going to live in a cabin in the woods? Like how comfortable are you with this? Because the reason why I follow this space so closely is because I feel like I have to. I don't necessarily get a warm and fuzzy from a lot of this. I enjoy some amount of manual intervention in my day-to-day, and some like I reconcile all my own bills and stuff, even though I could certainly just write scripts to do it, just because like I want to have the time spent seeing like what's going on. So like let's talk about managing a email inbox, right? You know, so an AI might very quickly discard a whole bunch of things that are very different than what I've traditionally been doing, because it says, hey, you know, this is what he spends 90% of his time on. This is my optimization function's goal, you know, make sure things are focused. But that would prevent me from learning about like new opportunities or weird things that I would never do. So I worry about that. How much do you worry about things like that?
Yeah, I don't think I would trust the AI to go through my inbox and delete messages. I would probably like say no deletion, but I think like tagging, categorizing, organizing my email so it's more manageable. I think if I gave it some rules and said like, these are the kinds of emails I'd like for you to flag, do your best job, and then, you know, have it be a reversible thing. So like if it messes up, I can roll back. Right. I mean, we're already trusting companies like Google with some of our most sensitive data, right? Our email. If you use Gmail, you're basically giving Google access to very sensitive information. And so I think we've already kind of crossed that line. I know I have a friend who like runs his own email server, right? And he likes having everything under his control. He doesn't like giving any of his data to companies, but he spends a lot of his time like fighting spam, right? Yeah. Because there's a lot of spam that will come your way if you're not a Google that has all the spam detection tools in place.
I always love, do you know the largest organization in terms of categorizing spam? It's called Spam House, spelled Haus, which I always just thought, I think it's Swedish or one of those. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere with this. I just love the word Spam House. And so anytime I have an opportunity to bring it up, Yeah.
But I mean, going back to your question about privacy, I mean, this is why I'm really interested in like local LLMs. Because I think if you can own your data, you know, we have a lot of data that's spread out all over the internet, right, on different websites. And I think if there's an opportunity to like bring all that data onto your own device, connect it with the local LLM, you can glean a lot of insights out of your data.
Right. I'm curious, what do you have hardware-wise at home? So I have a 3090, so I'm pretty capable of running most models, but you know, I still need to quantize.
Yeah, I just have an M1, so it can run, you know, like a Llama 3, like a smallish model, but definitely not like the 400.
Right. What do you shoot? Like 7B, 8B, 16B?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing more than a 16. But I'm considering getting like a Mac Mini, you know, M4 that has, I can't remember how much memory you can put in one of those, but kind of soup it up with as much RAM as I can get in it, and then, you know, a fast processor. 8 or 16 core, and you know, you can probably run one of the larger LMs pretty decently on that kind of hardware. Yeah,
it is very exciting what's going on in that space, where unified memory combined with unified memory being, you know, where the CPU and GPU share a memory pool, so you don't have the overhead of moving things around. Really seems to be doing magic. Like I can't believe the kind of things that I can do on my MacBook in terms of LLMs. Yeah. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, perfect. Thanks, Nate.
Thanks, Mike.